can do anything. I'm proof of that. I grew up a couple miles away, and here I am standing next to the leader of the free world. Not just any leader, a truly great one. You see, when I left Kansas, I went, and among other things, I spent 8 years in war zones. 8 years with my boots in the sand of Iraq and Afghanistan. 8 years. And all that time, I really just learned a couple things. I know for sure that I have seen the devil. But I have also seen fighters. Donald Trump is a fighter. He fights for America first. He fights to keep our borders secure. He fights for jobs. He fights those at or approaching retirement. He is a fighter, and we are so honored to have him here in Kansas. He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. He likes appointing pro-Constitution judges to the bench. And he is tough on China, Iran, and North Korea. To other things, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. Now, Kansas, you know, might be a little partial, but just think of how much more he could have accomplished if he were a Kansan. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for all that you do for Kansas and for America and for this world. We're so glad you're here. Thank you, sir.
And a vote for Steve is a vote for me and our agenda to make America great again. You know that agenda.
Yeah.
His name is Paul Davis.
Boo!
He's not good. He's not good, you know that. He's a vote for a radical agenda of Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer,
Boo!
and the legendary Maxine Waters. Here in Kansas, his opponent, Paul Davis, voted time after time to raise your taxes and fees. And he voted to give public benefits to illegal aliens. If you want to stop Nancy Pelosi from becoming Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, you better get out and vote for Steve Watkins. The majority of House Democrats have already sponsored a socialist takeover of healthcare. The Democrats' plan would eviscerate Medicare and eliminate Medicare Advantage for 20 million seniors. We want to protect Medicare. We will, as Republicans, protect Medicare for our great seniors who have earned it and paid for it. And we will always protect Americans with pre-existing conditions. We will take care of our great Americans with pre-existing conditions. Today's Democrats have embraced radical socialism and open borders. If you don't have borders, you don't have a country, folks. You don't have a country. in the U.S. Senate has signed up for the open borders, and it's a bill. It's called the Open Borders Bill. What's going on? And it's written by, guess who? Dianne Feinstein. Remember the leaking, right? The leaking Dianne Feinstein. Did you leak? Did you leak, Dianne? Dianne, did you? No. I don't think. Wait. Did we leak? No, he said no. No, we didn't. Was that the worst body language you've ever No, she didn't leak. That's what you're dealing with. If the Democrats' bill ever becomes law, a tidal wave of drugs and crime would pour into our nation like never, ever before. Democrats also support deadly sanctuary cities that release violent predators and bloodthirsty killers like MS-13 into our communities. Republicans believe our country should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not criminals. And Republicans stand proudly with the brave men and women of ICE, Border Patrol.
Yes!
They want to defund ICE. Can you believe it? You know how tough ICE is? When MS-13 sees ICE coming, they say, let's get out of here. But you know what? They can't, because they get caught. They get thrown, and they get thrown the hell out of the country. The Democrats want to get rid of us. And these are great Americans. By the way, ICE, great Americans. They happen to be tough people. I think we need some tough people. Tough. Like ICE. That's why I like ICE. But they really are. They're great Americans. They love our country, and they're not treated properly. They're not treated properly. I've seen it in Long Island. They go into a community. I grew up in that vicinity. I know every community out there. And they go into these communities, and these are rough people, MS-13. How they even come in, and we stop them at the border, but there's so many here from before us. And our laws are so bad, and we're getting them changed. It's tough. That's why we need more Republicans. But they come in, and Long Island, we send ICE, and they get in there, and they get them out, and it's like we're liberating a town. In this day and age, it's like in a war where, a foreign invader finally is being taken out. They're liberating a country or liberating a city or a town. They cut people up because they don't want to use bullets. It's too fast and it's not painful enough. And then when I said, animals, Nancy Pelosi said, how dare you speak that way about a human being? This woman just said it to me. She screamed out the word animal. So how dare you call them? They're human beings. They're not. These are animals, folks. And we need law enforcement. And we need ICE. And we need Border Patrol. And if your community has a problem, don't worry about it. Just give us a call. We'll take care of it. Yeah. Democrats are also fighting to give welfare and free health care to illegal aliens, paid for by you, the American taxpayer. Thank you very much. Republicans believe that the public benefits must be protected for the truly needy Americans. Americans that need help, not illegal aliens. If you want America to remain a sovereign, great country, then you must organize, mobilize, register, and vote Republican. We need more Republican votes. This election is about safety, and it's also about prosperity. Since the election, we have created over 4.2 million new jobs and lifted almost 4 million Americans off of food stamps.
Yeah!
And we've added nearly 1/2 million manufacturing jobs. Think of that. If I ever said that during the campaign, look how many. Oh man, you are getting more and more people back there. Look how many reporters. Look. That's a lot. Wow. You know what I call it? I call it the Academy Awards. That's the Academy Awards. You know, we're doing great. Our new polls just came out. I had to poll Rasmussen 51 or 52. They don't report that. They never. But you know, and it's much higher than that because some people, I don't know if I'm happy about this, they say when they don't want to talk about it, that means they're voting for Trump. I don't know. Am I supposed to be thrilled? But we'll take it, right? We'll take it. That's what happened in 2016. A lot of people didn't want to talk about it. And the pollsters push it down, you know, okay, throw it. But now they learned their lesson. When they don't talk, they're Trump voters. All action. All action, no talk. African American unemployment has reached its lowest level in recorded history. During the debate, if I have those stats, the best unemployment number ever for African Americans, best in terms of poverty ever in history for Africa. How do you win? How do you beat us on that? It's only habit. It's habit. Because for 100 years, African Americans have gone with Democrats, but now they're changing and they're changing fast. Jim Brown, we could use him right now in the NFL. Great people. Hispanic American and Asian American. Likewise, their unemployment rates have also reached all-time historic lows, the lowest. And women's unemployment just fell to 3.6%, the lowest rate in 65 years. The world's #1 producer of crude oil and natural gas. And since I took office, the value of Americans' mutual funds and pension funds has increased by $2.7 trillion. Like a bunch of geniuses. Thank you, Donald, very much. You're all great investors, right? You're all great investors. That's okay. We picked up 11, I was saying 10, I was saying 7. We picked up now 11.7. Larry Kudlow said it to me the other day. He said, sir, you're a little low on that number. I said, really? I was using $10 trillion. It's now $11.7 trillion in worth. 11, you know what that is? And China was catching us rapidly before I became president, and right now we are going so fast. We are the fastest developing country in the world. And that's why I say we have a midterm coming up, an election. Historically, whoever's president, I don't know why this works, but whoever's, I guess people get complacent. You know, hey, we just won the presidency. Now 2 years later we have an election, so they're complacent. And then we always win in the next one, which is, as you know, the presidential election. So far I'm dreaming of those candidates. I see those candidates before my eyes every night before I go to sleep. Sometimes while I'm sleeping, I love them so. Cory Booker, Pocahontas. I've got more Indian blood in me than Pocahontas, and I have none. I mean, sadly, I have more. They said to her, "Why do you say you're of Indian heritage?" Well, my mother told me I have high cheekbones. That's what she said. You have any documentation? No, we don't. Oh, I see. You have high cheekbones. Well, I have high cheekbones too. Hey, maybe I'm an Indian and I'm gonna leave her. But think of it. This is her reason. The whole thing's been a fraud, but that's okay. You know what? I want to be careful. I'm taking out so many of these people. I'm hitting them so hard that they're disappearing. And I don't want to do that. Because I may get somebody that's actually good to run against me, and that would not be good. I'll take out all the easy ones. And maybe I'll get stuck with somebody that's actually good, but I don't see any on that side. Sleepy Joe Biden, who ran for president 2 or 3 times, you know, they say only twice. I think I remember a third time in there. But he had 1% with an arrow pointing left. That means 1% or less. And then Obama took him off the trash heap. Well, he's one of the people. Remember, he challenged me to a fight. I'd like to take him behind the bar. I'd love that. Somebody actually said you hit these candidates really hard. Here's a non-candidate, you know. Da Nang Dick. He's a Da Nang Dick. That's Blumenthal. He talked about when I was in Da Nang province in Vietnam. And I was fighting up the hill and men are going left and right of me. They're dying. They're being struck by bullets. But I went back to their rescue. I went back and I got them. And then I made a second attempt. And bullets are going left and right and over my shoulders, and they're hitting my men. And I used to think, wow, this guy's a pretty brave guy. And then I found out he's a fraud. He never was in Vietnam. And he stopped campaigning because there was no way you could win. No way. And because it's Connecticut, where I guess only a Democrat, can you believe this? That's why Connecticut's such a mess right now. Only a Democrat wins, you gotta see it's a mess. General Electric just moved out, that doesn't help. But Da Nang Dick, and then I see him yesterday talking about a man who's #1 at Yale, has like this perfect record, the most incredible record. One of the reasons I picked him, he's like a perfect person. And Da Nang Dick, who said he was a great war hero, and he never saw the country. This wasn't like saying, hey, I was in the army. This is a guy that said he was charging up Da Nang province, right? Da Nang province. He's up that hill and he's taking bullets left and right. And he never saw the place. He was in the reserves, though, remember? And he said, I demand honesty. This is true, exact words. I demand honesty, integrity, And I demand that there's no lying on it. And I'm saying, wait a minute, that's the guy that lied about in the history of our country, if you look at it. He lied. And this is one of the people. How bad? And then you have the Feinstein, and you have all the others, and you look at what's going on. You don't want those people in office, folks. You've got to have great people. And compare that with what you've seen with John Cornyn, who asked that great question to Diane and got her a little off base, like John Cornyn of Texas. And Lindsey Graham, who did such a... And by the way, took a week, but that extra week was a great thing because it showed no corroboration, no nothing. No, by the way, no nothing. How good was Senator Susan Collins yesterday? And Chuck Grassley. I'll tell you what, Chuck was good. He's got to be very happy with what we did on trade, right, Chuck? From Iowa, great state. And Mitch McConnell, how good? How good? He was not smart. He was great. We worked hard, and we got ourselves the finest legal mind, one of the finest human beings. And again, what his family took, the horror that they had to endure by these people like Blumenthal and Cory Booker, who was a disaster as the mayor. What they had to take was a disgrace. The only reason to vote Democrat is if you're tired of winning. We want to win. Finally rebuilding our nation. You see what's happening. And I just left the United Nations last week, and I can tell you, and everybody else can tell you, and even the fake news can tell you, America is respected again. Republicans passed the biggest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history by far. We also passed Veterans' Choice, 44 years, giving our veterans the right to see a private doctor. And we paid them. So they don't have to wait online for 25 days, 38 days, 14 days, 6 days. They go out and they see a private doctor. They get themselves a good doctor. We pay the bill. It's frankly so simple, but it took 44 years to get it done. We got it done. I'm going to get it. Now we also passed, this is 45 years, the VA accountability law to ensure anyone who mistreats our veterans will be held accountable. You are fired. Get out. And we've secured a record $700 million, and the next year, $716 billion to rebuild our military and to give our brave warriors their largest pay raise in almost a decade.
USA, 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 USA.
And in my direction, the Pentagon is now working to create the 6th branch of the American Armed Forces, the to know where it's at. Doesn't sound right, but it's right. That's where it's at. Both defense and offense, that's where it's at. I withdrew the United States from the horrible, one-sided Iran nuclear deal. Before I became president, I looked at what was happening with Iran. They were taking over the Middle East. They were taking Syria. They were taking Yemen. They were going into Iraq. They were taking everything. Now, they just want to make it. They just want to say they have riots in every city. Since I took over that operation, that horrible, horrible deal, that was, think of it, the previous administration gave Iran $150 billion. $1.8 billion in cash. Airplanes full of cash. In fact, I got in. I said, does the President of the United States actually have the power to give away $1.8 billion in cash? You know what the answer is? It's actually no. They don't. What they did there is a disgrace. They gave them 1.8 in order to have a terrible deal. Well, that was a hostage. They paid $1.8 billion. They paid $1.8 billion for hostages. Can you imagine? And we got our hostages back from North Korea. Zero. And we have a good relationship. And who knows what happens, but I think good things happen. No more missile testing, no more rocket testing, no more nuclear testing. We got the remains of our great, great heroes from 75 years ago back. And we got our hostages back. And good things are happening. You know what I always say? It's deal. Just before we signed the deal with Canada and Mexico, great deal. I said, who knows? I never like to say, who can you say? It's a deal. Who knows? I like to do it. It takes all the pressure off. Who knows? With North Korea, who knows? But I think we're doing very well. Okay. Fake news says, why aren't you going faster? I said, listen, I just got back 3 months ago. Right? I was there with Kim Jong-un. I was there 3 months ago. Chairman Kim. They say, why aren't you going faster? I said, what have people done for 75 years? And one of the anchors said, why has the president given away so much? And I said, what have I given? I haven't given anything. We got our hostages back for nothing. Out of respect. We got our testing all stopped, including the nuclear testing. I said, tell me, what are we giving? Well, you agreed to meet. Oh, that doesn't cost me very much. I agreed to meet. I like to meet. What the hell do we lose by meeting? I asked the previous administration. Well, that's what I gave away. I agreed to meet. Can you believe it? These people are sick. I agreed to meet. Can you imagine how well we'd do if we actually had fair press? Can you imagine? I agreed to meet. I'm sorry I agreed. And then they said, right? You know, the rhetoric was extremely tough that first couple of months. And President Obama said, at my meeting with him, he said, the biggest problem we have by far is North Korea. They would have gone to war. Millions and millions of people would have been killed. Millions of people. And I said to somebody in their administration, have you ever talked? Have you ever agreed to meet? Have you ever, let's sit down and talk? Well, we haven't thought about it. Oh, I see. We're going to war. You're not going to talk? We'll meet anybody. What we have now coming in, I'm telling you, the greatest power we've ever had. The greatest power of the world. You know why I have that? Because I don't want to use it. And when you have it, nobody's going to mess with us. 716 billion. But we're recognized the capital of Israel and opened the American embassy. That's the other story we tell. That's a big one. That's a big, big story. You know why? Because other presidents all said they're going to do it. Many, many presidents. We're going to do it, we're going to do it. Then the pressure goes on and they don't do it. And I see why. I don't blame them. Every leader called me up. Don't do it, please don't do it, don't do it. You know the story. I've refused to take their phone calls. They said, tell them I'll call them back on Thursday. Next week. And I'm signing like on Wednesday. Tell them I'm calling them back on Thursday. I look forward to speaking to them. Then I sign the deal, announce the deal. Then I call them back. Yeah, hi, how you doing? What's up? Wow. We wanted to talk to you about Israel, but it's over. And the embassy, which was going to cost over $1 million, we built it for about $400,000. Right? And the million would have taken probably 20 years before you ever got the building. And we took a piece of land that we owned, already owned. And it had a building on it. Okay, building. We fixed the building up a little bit. We took the big space in the corner. We used even Jerusalem stone, which is a very expensive era builder. Jerusalem stone is beautiful. How nice is that? And you know, Jerusalem stone is Jerusalem. Sounds about right. And we got it for the right price. And we built it for less than $500,000. And we opened it. It's open now. We have our embassy. So we saved $1 billion and 20 years. As your leaders apologize for America. And now you have a president who is standing up for America. We're standing up for Uganda. We're standing up for Kansas. And we're standing proudly. We are standing proudly for our great national anthem. And the NFL make a deal that they've been trying to make for years. Can you believe it?